Hi everyone, and thank you for being interested in this tutorial about components and variants. Definitely a skill that you should be on top of, not even a question, to work smarter, design easier, and make your life just much better when, of course, controlling and being on top of these two great features. First, components, and after the components comes the variants, meaning creating variants to a component that we created. You're probably wondering what's up with this dude. Hello there. Hello. This dude we're gonna use a bit later in our tutorial, and let's get to it. So components and variants, here we come. I made some stuff here that we're gonna do in a bit. And first of all, let's just understand what is going on with the component. What is actually a component? Why do we need to use it? And what is the, let's say, the logic of using components? So let's say that I'm creating a website. Let's do something like that. And let's say that we do something like that. Let's take 1920 by 1080 for now. Doesn't really matter. And let's give it a bit of a background. Maybe do something like that. Yeah, it's kind of harsh, but doesn't matter. And I am opening a frame to create my header. Okay, the tutorial header. Let's give it kind of like a 90 of height, 90 pixels, added a fill. Yeah, we'll give it white. That's okay. Um, yeah, seems okay. I can do anything I want in this background. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really matter right now because we are talking about my header, not my head, but my header in this this tutorial. So let's say that we have a logo, something like, well, that's too big, something like that. I'll just give it bold and make it like this, and give it kind of like a quick logo look-alike shape. I will do something like that. That's what I always do when I want to kind of simulate a logo. I don't know, it became kind of like my default simulation for a logo, and that's okay. Doesn't matter. Something like this, and something like this, and something like this. Yeah, that's okay. Okay, so I'll just group it. Doesn't matter right now. And this, I can give it a frame and call it a logo. Okay, so that's my logo. Here I'm going to have in the middle, I'm going to have some navigation options. Nav option. I'll give it the right. Of course, this is too much. Let's give it a 26, something like that. I'll give it a medium for now, or even a, yeah, regular is okay. And I'm gonna, okay, give it like 5 navigation options. I frame it and call it nav options. Options. I forgot the S. Okay, and I'll just, let me see. Yeah, it's in the middle. Good. And now here, let's say that we have, oh, we can take actually from here. I can take this one and second, this one and this one. I will put them here. Okay, usually you will see it without text in the header, but it doesn't matter, honestly. Let's put it like that. Okay, so let's say that I build myself a really quick header here, and I want to open, or actually to create other website pages, okay, as we will probably usually do. So let's say that I'm creating more pages. I'll just duplicate other ones that we will have. Yeah, 5 pages are okay, and we will give each one of them a different background just to know that we are on different. Oh, that's a terrible color. Let's give it something like that or like that. Yeah, it doesn't really matter, but I'm just kind of like, it's being difficult for me to see terrible colors. Okay, yeah, that's okay. So I'm having this header here, and suddenly, let's say I'm making design at work or for a client or for whoever, doesn't matter, and even my website. And suddenly, this dude comes, not this dude, but some dude from work or from like my clients or whatever, and tells me, listen, man, I want to change this logo, maybe if I'm the one who designed it, or I want to have another navigation option here. So I'm like, okay, and then, oh, now I have to go through all these headers, and imagine if I have 5 pages or maybe 20 pages or 30 or 50, then imagine going to each page and making this change. This is going to be a real pain in the. Okay, we all got it. So, anyway, so what I can do here, so check this out. Okay, so I'm going to make this header. I'm going to take it out. Okay, it's a frame already, not you, not the whole page. I'm just talking about my header here. Okay, and I'll call it a header. Okay, and I will make this header a component. Now, a component I can create from here. Okay, just clicking on create component. I can right click it and just click on guest right create component. Okay, and that's good. And I made it a component. Now, see that its frame became purple and the name of it as well, purple, and you see the icon of it. It's kind of like a four diamond thing. Okay, here. That means that it's a main component. Okay, good. Now, what I can do with this main component, I can either put it in my designs. Usually, the better and let's say more right way to work is to leave the main component outside and just duplicate Control D or just Alt and drag it. I make another instance, meaning it's a copy of the main header, okay? And I will just take this instance and put it here, okay? Now I have in my website page, I have an instance of the main header, which is this one, the main component, okay, which is my header, my website header. I can copy, and another great thing that Figma did lately is that I can put mark or select all of them together, right click and paste to replace. Boom. And then I have the header everywhere on my pages. Okay, so when I want to make a change now, for example, if I want to add another navigation option, I can just duplicate it. Now see that everything that I am making here will happen in all of my headers, meaning because they are attached to this component. This is their father.
I am your father.
Exactly, as you saw there. And if you're not familiar with Star Wars, then sorry. Anyway, I think it's one of the best scenes I've seen everywhere, which says, I am your father. I haven't seen anyone better of this, but anyway, when I love Star Wars, as you can imagine. So, okay, so this is kind of like a main logic of why working with a component. Okay, so the main idea is that we have this one main component, which is in a lot of our screens, in all of them, or maybe most of them. And then when we make a change, of course, we can make a change in one place and it all happens on the other screen. Let's say that the logo, I want to give it a this color like that. So as you see, of course, when I'm changing it, it changes in all the pages that we have this component, which is great. Okay, very good. So any change we can make and just, yeah, I see this is not aligned in the middle. Oh, that's kind of out. Okay. It kind of like ran out from my frame. So anyway, yeah. And then I can just double click it. Oh, what happens here? Why are you not aligned? Why are, oh, because the size of the frame. I need to give it like that. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, better to work with an auto layout. By the way, with auto layout, of course, I mean, originally, if I would build a component like that, I'm going to use a auto layout. I'm not going into auto layout so much here in this tutorial because if you are just getting to know components and variants, I think it's going to be a bit too much. But I do have a tutorial about auto layout, which is dedicated to auto layout. So I suggest that you just, after this tutorial, it's great to continue with the auto layout tutorial. Okay, so I will just give it align center and everything is aligned center in all my headers and components. And now, of course, that a component can be built from other components, meaning it can be a main component, a main component that holds other components inside it. Okay, let's say that if I take this, let's say profile, I'll copy and paste another copy of it here. Okay, so let's say that I make this component, I make this one, this icon, I make it a component as well. Okay, now this component, think about, let's say, a company that has a website, has a mobile view, of course, mobile application, and some more places that this actually, that this icon can be used everywhere, right? So I can make this icon a component, and once I do want to change, let's say, this icon, make a change in it, and other places are using this icon. So let's say that I want to take this head of it, and the head, I want to make it like that. Okay, I just want to make it a round circle, which is great. So I'm taking this component, double clicking here, paste to replace, and now I have a component here. And after that I said, oh, you know what? No, I want to change. By the way, you will see now that you see all the components that we created of the instances that we created from the header. You see the same icon here. Now, let's say that I regret myself and I want to get back to this. Okay, no problem. The moment it's a component, I can make this change through all my designs wherever it is located. So the right way to build, usually, I'm saying depends on the case and what you need in your designs, but usually is build a bigger component with smaller component. Okay, smaller components let you control like more of minor things, like, you know, shape of an icon, whatever will be written here. Maybe I want it without a text. Okay, maybe I want it in a different color, different shape, and so on and so on. Okay, even this can be a component to itself, by the way, because the structure of our header doesn't change. Okay, but we can also make this one a component to itself and this one a component to itself, and the logo can change. Let's say that I want this one to be um, a component to itself, and I'm using the logo, of course, in a lot of places. Okay, now, for example, let's see how we create another, let's say, component here. Let's make another mobile screen. Okay, so one of the most or the main things that will be component, I guess, to myself is, let's say that we create a button. Okay, a button. I'm doing it with a frame. You can make a button shape with creating it from a frame. You can do shape background and then either grouping it or framing it. The better way to do is, I guess, by frame, because a frame also has a responsive behavior, which a group doesn't. So I think that a frame is better to use. And of course, it has all the constraints, and you can control the way that elements move inside the frame while you're making it bigger or smaller. So it's easier to control it. Again, I have another tutorial about constraints. So I suggest that if you're not really on it, it's better to see it as well. Okay, but anyway, so let's say that my frame is 60 of height. Let's make it 50, by the way. I'll give it a fill. By the way, notice that the default of when using a frame, okay, I have a screen which is my frame, and then I throw another frame inside it. When you do a frame inside a frame, which of course you will do many times, okay, the default behavior is that it comes without a background. Why? Because a frame is a container of content, so that it's actually its first, let's say, job on the screen. So it's not known if you want it colored or not, with any background or not, which actually, if you will take a shape, of course a shape, it will give it a some kind of a default background. So let's go back to our frame, and I will give it a color. Let's say that I will give my button kind of like a bluish color, something like that, I guess. Yeah, that's good. Maybe it's too dark, so I'll do it something like that. And I will give it a text inside it. Let's give it an action text, not action, but action. And I'll just put it in the middle. Of course, it's not going to be so, oh, it's not going to be so big. Yeah, something like that, and irregular. And now I can align it for the center, align it to the center, not for, but to the center of the frame. And let's give it kind of a, yeah, not like a very sharp corner of 90 degrees, but I gave it a small corner radius of 4 pixels for now. Okay, by the way, responsive behavior. So this is the constraints, and you see now that if it's constrained to the top and the left side, so if I will make this, let's say I want to make this button bigger, okay, and I will just make the frame bigger, notice that the text stays in its place. It doesn't go with the frame. But if I will give it a center to the horizontal, so now notice when I'm making this frame bigger, the text goes with it. Okay, so anyway, check out the tutorial of constraints if you're not really on it. That will give you a pretty good idea how to um, uh, constrain elements to the, to resizing a frame. Okay, anyway, so this can be a button, of course, and I will make it a component. Okay, so here, so now I have a component. I will give it a name of a button, and I can, this one we don't need, and I will take an instance. I'm just pressing out and dragging an instance of this component, and we can have this button, which is a component in all of our mobile screens. Okay, so now we have here a component, and of course, if I will change the background of this frame, I will make it like this. So of course you will see that in one click I have changed the background of all our components. Now, let's talk about overrides. Okay, I can override any, let's say, color or text, mainly of an existing component through its instance. Okay, I cannot, and I'm saying again, I cannot change the structure of the component. Okay, meaning, let's give it a sample, an example. Let's say that I want to add a beautiful icon like that, which is the most beautiful icon in the world. I want to add it to my instance. So notice, where is the instance? It's here. So notice the fact that I cannot just shove it, sorry for the rude word. I cannot, let's say, push it into this component, because into an instance component. Why? Because I am changing the structure of the component. To change a structure of a component needs to be done from the main component, which is good. Why? Because the logic that stands behind it is that when you have like a design system, probably you will hear this word a lot. Maybe you heard it, maybe you didn't. Anyway, it's the way that things are done basically now in the UX UI world. That we are creating design systems, that the design system is actually kind of a library that holds all the components that we are working with, and then we can just drag the components we need into our designs and work with it. Okay, so imagine that another designer takes a button that you make and you worked so hard to make this 4 radius shape. I'm joking, yeah, but I'm saying, of course, you worked and you matched the colors and the way it should look, etc., etc. And then suddenly comes another designer and decides that he wants to make this like sorry, that wasn't the intention, but he decide. I mean, he can, by the way, resize it, but he cannot kind of like push other elements to it and change the way that it's kind of like mainly built. Okay, so it keeps that you can it keeps the ability in the main component alone. So if I will take this here, of course, you see now it's in my component, and of course it will be in all the components that I have, all the instances of this component that we created. Okay, so meaning I can't change the base structure of the component with its instances. Now, what I can do with instances is I can, let's say, change the color of the fill. Let's say I want to make it something like that, and I can change the text. I will give it a, yeah, I will give it some text. It doesn't really matter. Okay, and now you will see something like that. If I will change the color of this component, let's say that I want to make all of them more of a red, or let's say orange color, you will see that in the component that we made the override, okay, the color doesn't change. Why? Because we override the color of the main component in this particular instance. So it change all of them, it changes all of them, but it doesn't change in the one that we made the override. Okay, same goes for text, which, by the way, of course, you can use the same button in different screens and it will have different text on it, which makes sense. Okay, so if I will change here the text to, let's say, other, one second, I want to make it aligned center. Okay, other text. Okay, so again, you will see that in the other instances, which I didn't change the text yet, it was changing all of them except the one that I overrode this. Um, is it right to say overrode? I'm not really sure. Let me check it. Okay. Anyway, override. I mean, if it's a past, override over. mm, mm. Okay, so notice the fact that, of course, when we made where we made the text change here, and that was an override, so the text doesn't change. In this one. Okay, so anyway, so we understood that we can create a component, we can make overrides in its instances, and the overrides that we made will not be changed when the main component is changed. Okay, what we can do as well, let's say that I have decided that I love this background color, or any, let's say, change that I made in the instances. So I love this color, and I want to make now the main component. After I made this change, I want to make the main component look like the change that I have made here, because I have seen that it works better. I can do that by going to this contextual menu, main component, push overrides to main component. And once I do that, see that the override, the change that I've made here, was pushed to this main component. And because it was pushed to the main component, this change happened through all the other component, all the other instances, actually, the childs of this father or mother component, doesn't matter. Okay, but anyway, so that was an override that was pushed to the main component. Good. Another thing that can happen sometimes, let's say that we are designing and we have a lot of screens and we don't even remember where is our main component. We can just right click and go to main component. Okay, go to main component, boom, it takes us to the main component. If it's out here, or if it's on one of the screens, no problem. So don't be kind of like don't be afraid, even if this one gets deleted by a mistake. Okay, so again, I can go to one of the components and I can just main component, restore main component, so it's going to bring it back to my document, to my file. So no problems, no worries about that. And now that we have understood that, let's start talking about variants. I hope that the component thing is actually understood to everyone. We can create a component, by the way, from anything. If it's a content card that holds image, text, and a button, or anything else, it doesn't matter. Anything can be a component, as I've showed here. A header with a few elements. In this component, we can put other elements which are also components, and so on and so on. Even this actually can be a splitted component which can hold the icon and the label. So we can even change the icon and change the label with, making each one of them a component, and it can goes more and more. By the way, I am usually against making things too complicated. Okay, keep it as simple as you can, but of course, make whatever makes your work more efficient. Okay, think about future changes and what can be changed. And again, as I've said, like, think about this icon, that maybe this icon can be used in many other places, so maybe it's good to have it as a component that can be changed through all of your designs. This is logically good, but other things, maybe it's better not to make them too complicated or more complicated than they should be. Okay, even variants, I guess that I think that it's better to keep it simple, and we will learn how to do it right now. Okay, so what is actually a variant? A variant, it means that we can have a created component and make variants to it, other variants, meaning other ways that it looks. and then we can change it easily on our already created screens and screens that are using this component already. And if not, we can just throw an instance of this component there and make the changes easily in our screens, on our screens. Okay, so I have this component, the beautiful button that we created here with that marvelous icon, the best icon in the world. Anyway, so I can create variant in a few ways. I can Okay, so I can create variants in actually two main ways, but now actually, um, so I can create variants in two main ways, and Figma actually added another way of creating quicker variants, but let's see how it's done. So let's say that I'm clicking on this button and I click the plus icon here, you see variants, and I click on the plus and it creates another variant of my button. Now notice the fact that the default name of it is default. Okay, I can call it just, let's say, purple. Okay, and let's say that I want another variant of this button which will be in a different color. I will call it, let's say, orange. Okay, and I will give it, of course, a different color. Second, let's give it an orange color. Give it a bit stronger. Okay, so we have an orange button. Now, if I want to create another variant to this button, I can just click the plus icon, okay, like that, and I can create another variant from this one. Or I can just, let's say, click on this one, Control D, and it just duplicates another variant, Control or Command D on Mac. Now I can call this one, let's say, now notice the fact that I can change the name from here, and I will give it the name of blue. By the way, if I want to change the name from here, double clicking, I can. But you need to keep this property one equals, you need to keep it here on the name, because if you delete it, it will not work anymore. So, meaning changing the name is just from here like that. Okay, so that is a very important fact. Let's give it a blue color. Yeah, so we have actually three variants of our component. Okay, the component is the button. Okay, as I will click on this one, you will see it's button. Okay, this is the instance of this component, which we can actually also, I'm just pressing on the alt, I can just take another one to here. It doesn't matter which one of them I put. What matters is that now we have variants to this component, meaning when I click on it, look that here I have the variants, I have the options to this button already on it, because even here, you see, because that was the original one that we took from this one, okay, and we made it other variants, so meaning that even here now I'm having the variants of this component, and I can use the one that fits me the best on each screen that I use. Of course, each case to itself, you can create any design you want, any variants that you want. I can create, let's say, let's duplicate this one, and I can create here, let's call it, for example, I will call it purple, and I will do something like that, no icon. Okay, so I'm having this variant now, and if I want a button without an icon, I can go for purple, no icon, for example. Just, to show how you can play with the variants and do more and more variants instead of just making, imagining here already having like four different components and each time placing and replacing them on the screen, which can be a pain, and of course that this is a much better way of working with a lot of components. Okay, let's give it another example. So I'm going to go back to the form that I have here, or the beginning of form, let's put it like that. And what I can do is actually do something like that. So I will actually copy this one and put it on the side, and take this one also and put it on the side, and I will give them their own variants. So actually, let's see, form label. So we don't need this. We're gonna make it a ungroup. Just take the label and I'm gonna copy it. Full name. Uh, maybe with a big N. Okay, and this is gonna be phone, email, address, and password. Okay, okay, good. So let's all do the same. Create component set. Okay, now I'm getting a component set for this label. Copy, Control C or Command C. Here, paste to replace. We have it here, so we can change all that easily for one of these labels. Here I'm going to do also, let's give it an ungroup. I'm going to just type the text. Hint, input field text. Okay, let me do it like that. So let's say here, enter email. I'm just doing it like very quickly because this tutorial is really taking long, so I'm going to work a bit faster. Enter phone number, um, and enter, let's say, enter address, and enter full, which should be the first one anyway. What happened here? Enter full name. Okay, and I'm gonna do, actually, I mean, if I would like work longer on it, then I would do also maybe an already in text that was entered for each one of them. But here, let's just do another variant of, let's say, input, entered input. That's okay, and I'll just give it a black color, and that is entered input. And let's do the same. Good. Okay, so we have a, let's call this one labels, of course. Okay, just for us to know what it is. And let's call hint plus entered. And it's okay for now. Hint plus entered. So I'm going to take this one and copy and put it here, paste to replace. Okay, good. So we have all our labels and hint text set, and I can take this one and make it a component. Yeah, I can make it a component, and I will click here to add another variant for it, and I will call this one will be the default, which is good. This one will be, let's say, on focus. That means when the field is tapped. So I will do this field. 1 second. Oh, it's kind of like there is too much nesting here, but it doesn't matter for right now. We can. I mean, probably I should make it. You know, I hate when it's like over complicated. So this is the input field BG actually. Yeah, that's the background, and even here we can take it out, and let's call it BG, not the BGs, just BG, which is a shortcut for background. And That is the input field. Okay, and good. So this background, I will give a stroke now of like a blue color, that this is when on focus, which is good. And let's give it another one. And now we can do, let's give it on error. Okay, let's give it an on error color. It will be something like that. And I will also make this one a bit bigger, because what I do want is to give here a text, let's say error, let's call it some error text. Okay, and let's see that it's inside our, that is our variant 3, and we will call it on error. And this, yeah, this text, we will give it the same color as this one. And I will make it smaller. Yeah, that's okay. Good. So this is our on error, and we can have another one on success. On success, we can make a kind of like a small V green sign, something like that. Okay, good. So we have, this is our on success, and I think that we created all the situations that we need for right now. We can always add more and more. This is the beautiful thing of variant, working with variants, that we can always add any variant that we need and work with it quite easy. Okay, so this is a copy, or I'll just alt and copy to our screen here, and I will duplicate it and make it an auto layout. Now, of course, that the labels I can change easy from here. Okay, let's give it a full name, and this one is enter full name. Okay, so that is the label of it, which is good. I can give it here a, let's say, email, and this is going to be enter email. Please enter your email and so on. Of course, we don't understand. And this can be, I can give this one like an on focus, like this one is on focus, just to show all the states of my form. And this one, for example, I can give it, let's say, a phone, and this will be enter phone number, and this one I will choose as a on error. Okay, so we have, let's say, someone that entered a wrong, or maybe try to put letters, or any validation that we run on it. But you see that when I am changing this for the on error, that is the beautiful thing of working also with an auto layout, that it respects the size of it, and just keeps the same space between all of them. Okay, so I think that, and we can change that to, let's say, on success, which gives us this one, and we can give it a, let's say, password. And here, actually, password is not the right one for this example, but let's give it a address. Okay, and here we can give the entered input, which is going to be an address, or anyway, doesn't matter. So kind of like to show how it looks when a real text was entered. So I think that this is it for now. I mean, actually, this tutorial took much longer than I thought, and there is always a lot to talk about. I will make a continuing tutorial for more examples on variants. Actually, I wanted to show another one on a bottom navigation bar, but again, I don't want this to make this tutorial kind of like endless, and it's already very long. So I hope that that was very um, uh, very good up to this point. And of course, I will be happy to have you in the second tutorial of more components and variants. Thank you so much for bearing with me and seeing this tutorial. If you did make it through the end, and we'll be very glad if you hit the subscribe button, and a like wouldn't hurt as well. Thank you so much, guys. See you in the next tutorial. Bye for now. I didn't go, by the way, the tutorial. I didn't go for this. Yeah, for this dude. I will do it in the continuing tutorial. So sorry about that, and bye for now, everyone. Thanks a lot. See you in the next tutorial.